Oh, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal Lens, presented by Jott-Nyx Paranormal. My name is Jamie Widener. I will be your host for this evening, and joined as always by Chad Thomas. Good evening, Mr. Thomas. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Jamie. I'm not used to being like up here to start out the show. We're
Well,
usually
we can.
side by side.
You mean like that?
Yeah, there we go.
You taught me how to press buttons. Now I know what to do. So, yeah, dangerous. So,
So yeah. So how was your week, Jamie?
it went by fast, and and that's a good thing, I guess. We all live for weekends, 'cause that's when we do our fun stuff, and that went by so incredibly fast. And here it is Tuesday again. So honestly, I don't remember if anything exciting happened. I didn't do much, so I can say that. I don't know. How about you? What's going on your side?
Well, it was a busy weekend. Emmy had the show for the summer camp. That was
That's right. I did see a play this weekend. I'm so sorry.
Yep, that's right. And
considering it's raining here, if anybody can guess the play by what I'm about to say, the sun will come out tomorrow. Get your bottom dollar.
We hope so. So I want to say hi to Amanda and Jenny. Good to see everybody tonight.
Good evening.
Yes, it was Annie. If you weren't sure, but anyway, so we had that and rushed around there. Got home, found out the power was out at my house,
Right.
And then said, "Well, Zoe, don't burn anything down with the candles." And then I hopped in the car with Alex, and we drove to Whitehill Mansion in the rain, in the downpours, and it was interesting. We had a good night. We had some weather, so that was hopefully feeding into it. I didn't have time to go through evidence, but I heard a lot of disembodied things, doorknobs rattling, possible scream at one point.
This was just audible sounds you heard.
Yeah. The doorknob was the doorknob was in the room beside me. Definitely heard a lot of things moving around in empty rooms. I didn't have a whole lot of things going on like that, but what I had was good. Alex had tons. Like, he and I were working together, but we would go do, like, we would break out and do individual things. And while I was in, like, under white noise, he was having a conversation with somebody. And in the attic, he went down to those two single rooms and was having a conversation with somebody. And so
we had, well, he is, I've been there with him twice now. And for record, Alex is your son, who is a very gifted, investigator. He's got natural skills, and I think he's got some extra awareness as well, which is never a bad thing. He's definitely sensitive. But the two times two, maybe even three. Gosh, I'm losing track. We've been to White Hill so many times that I've been there with him, especially upstairs in the attic. We have had some really interesting things happen. He's been drawn to those two rooms over by the cistern every time. So there's definitely something there. So cool, very cool. Excited to figure out what you may have caught as well.
So, but it was a good group. It was with our Jott-Nyx Eclipse group. So it was fun working with them. A little bit different than the other group. Right. So
the main team, sure.
Yep.
So, you certainly use a different, more of a metaphysical approach, less equipment, more intuition, and other non-electrical things, which is really, obviously we rely so heavily on our chargeable equipment, but we forget how chargeable we are too, as individuals. So we talk about that all the time. Like, we're our best, piece of equipment is ourselves, and here we are using it, really. So cool.
So one of these days I'm going to get some rest and really feel like I'm charged enough to go in and do this without equipment. You're laughing. You know the truth there. So
as if.
Anyway,
I wish I could say the same for me too. And I'm always running to the end of the battery charge, and then falling down and like collapsing to bed, and then the alarm is going off before you know it, and you're up and at it. So but it would be boring if it were something else than what we have. So between family and work and paranormal stuff we do, there's a lot. There's a lot. And it's really cool.
Yep. Jenny nailed it here. Wait, what is rest?
What is that, right? It's a fancy word, I tell you. Fancy.
So anyway, we could babble on and on, but Jamie, I think you're presenting something tonight.
Yeah, we are. We got something to talk about. So the topic tonight is I'm going to give you how it's pronounced in Romanian, and then I'm going to English it up for the rest of us. So we're going to talk about the Hoia Baciu Forest, which we will simply call Hoia Baciu, as it's been English down or dumbed down. I'll call it, because it's what we do. And Romanian is a very hard language, and I tried really hard to get some official stuff in here, and I was giving myself the phonetic spellings, and it was taking up like half a line, the whole line of the page. So we'll keep it simple. Hopefully, I'll also keep it shorter. But the Hoia Baciu Forest is in Romania. And let's go to our slide here. For those who are listening, we do have a visual podcast. So you'll find us on the video tab as well as the audio tab, whatever prime source you're perusing on. And then with that, we've shown a map of where this is in the world. So Romania, of course, is in Europe. Right next to Hungary, just a little bit south of the Ukraine, between right off the Red Sea, between Moldova and Serbia. So, and what's really interesting here is that on common, ordinary today maps, this is no longer found, but this region was once known as Transylvania. So, we may have heard of that before, I think. Mm-hmm. Well, spooky season is coming, of course, we all have. But so this is in the kind of the northwest central corner of Romania. It is located near the city of Cluj-Napoca, which is the second largest city in Romania after Bucharest. And the area where the forest is often referred to as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania. Not necessarily by plot points. With the Bermuda Triangle, we have Florida, we have the Bahamas, and then we have Bermuda itself, the island of Bermuda, as the triangle points. We talked about the Alaskan Triangle quite a while ago. There are 3 city points that cover most of the state of Alaska. You've talked about the Pacific Triangle and the Ring of Fire. Again, origin points that plot things. This is not really so much those things. It's just kind of the fact that there are some the forest itself, and I'll show you that slide of a map of that in a second, is kind of triangle-ish. It's one of those triangles that I wish I would have remembered paying attention to in the plane geometry class, because I could probably identify it. But somebody out there smarter than I am is going to say that's this triangle. So fire away. The forest itself is, let's go to that next slide to show. Here's an overview of where the forest is and what it looks like. It's actually rather small, and it's but it's a woodland that's been very synonymous with the paranormal and unexplained phenomenon for quite a long time. So, if you're a fan of the supernatural, you've probably heard the paranormal. You've probably heard of this before. A few shows have covered it. I'll talk about a little bit of that a little later. But it's also a forest, so a lot of folks go there just to get closer to nature. So all kinds and all types of people go.
Okay. And that would be obtuse.
Thank you. I knew somebody would know. It's an obtuse triangle. So it's located approximately 5 miles west of Cluj-Napoca, which again is Romania's second largest city. And it is definitely in the Transylvanian area. So creepy stuff. So let's talk about what it is. And the forest itself is a little unique. And if you'll recall, we were talking a while back about the Aokigahara forest in Japan, the suicide forest, for lack of the English, the English version of it, had a lot of strange trees and some weird misshapen forestry. This is similar topography. Trees do grow on some curved angles. All of them grow in a clockwise pattern. So that's kind of interesting. So it has more to do with the soil than anything, but the present day forest was once a prehistoric forest that covers about 3 square kilometers. For scale, the New York City's Central Park is 3.5 square kilometers. If we need to use it, American lines, we can call that 1 square mile for the Hoia Baciu and about 1.3 square miles for Central Park. So not overly large, but as you can see here, some of it does have some dense trees to it and some areas where you can get kind of lost in it. So, but not something that's not traversable within a little bit of time. You can definitely walk through it in an afternoon. And there are a lot of trails, of course, through it, and all things are marked in and out. So hopefully no one gets lost. There has been evidence of human habitation in the area that dates back to the Paleolithic or Old Stone Age era, which was 205 million to 30,000 years ago. So there have been folks in this area for quite a long time. So, the forest itself. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say I sort of agree with Kelly here, or Amanda, sorry, that these trees look really cool.
Yeah,
not
I agree.
You can see, but there's definitely some curved trees, twisted trees. Yeah, I would just love to go see the trees. It's pretty amazing, and it's paranormal. And Albert wants to do another road trip, so.
If we just could figure out like a paraplane, like we just get a jet and just travel, why not? There's got to be a way to figure out how to finance all that. Mm-hmm. So, but it is this is a great point. The trees are unique, and that adds to some of the mystique and the mystery of the place as well. We have a lot of forests here in North America that are just straight trees, right? Pines, deciduous trees, whatnot. Some of them low level branches, some are tall and straight, but they're all a lot the same. And here, this is something very unique, so it automatically draws interest because it's just something we haven't seen before.
Right, they're unique, but there's a picture that has like 8 of the same tree with a very, very unique like fish hook shape. So it's right. That adds to the, like you said, to the mystique.
Yes, exactly. So how did this forest get its name? And it's rather interesting. So this is a folklore tale, so bear with me. But it was named after a shepherd named Baciu, who went missing with a flock of 200 sheep. Baciu and his sheep would never return, and no evidence of them was ever found. So as you can imagine, the Baciu is his name, but the Hoia, the first word Hoia, is forest in Romanian. So hence it's now Baciu's Forest. The area also was once considered a sacred place by the Thracian tribe who inhabited the area around 500 BCE to 106 CE. So with that, it is believed that they believed the natural spirits and ancient gods they worshipped are still present, and they are corresponding with the malevolent entities and demons who are loose in the forest today, which are causing some of these mysteries. This is likely an attempt to rationalize the unexplainable phenomenon happening here for well over 2,000 years. So we'll dig into some of the claims. The first and foremost one, and I think this makes sense as we're Paranormal Lens, but there's paranormal activity. So what that means to them is there are ghostly apparitions, disembodied voices, and unexplained lights and sounds, especially at night. So as far as the apparitions, there have been mysterious dark masses reported in the forest for several generations. Most are claimed to have been seen from the corner of the eye or to be just behind a tree, kind of like what we call Hades, where we see like at a corner, there's a dark shape and it disappears back in, something that we see commonly in and around the brewery and other places. I would like to note that there's an episode of Expedition X in season 7, episode 1, titled "The Transylvania Terror." This one actually aired back in the spring. That seems to capture a bipedal figure on camera. It's moving across an opening in the trees while filming. One of the principals named Jess. She was alone in the Hoia Rotunda, which we'll get to in a minute. Also, in a earlier episode of Expedition Unknown, there was a cast there as well. One of the cameramen was sitting alone in the Hoia Rotunda, obviously on camera, having an EVP session. And there was a kind of a light flare happening right in front of him, and then he was knocked over and left with scratches on his arms, even though he was wearing long sleeves. It was kind of like fall, so it wasn't very warm. So there's been some, some stuff. And of course, he claimed to have heard like female voices prior to the incident, which were slightly captured on audio. It's not a Class A EVP, unfortunately, more of a B and C. There are claims of seeing red orbs and hearing the disembodied voices of women, which are very common. And there it is, Josh Gates. Of course, we all know Josh. So the red lights are only seen at night and are usually in the tree lines. A lot of times they're considered orbs as well. And the lights are clearly seen, but then they disappear once they're followed. So paranormal, to say the least. And the voices are usually described as whispers and from several different directions at once, making it difficult to determine which direction they are actually coming from. So, normal, right? Normal paranormal stuff. Just everything's just at the edge of our senses, not quite crystal clear. No one's walking out of the woods and introducing themselves.
You're waiting for that, Jamie. I know
I'm still waiting. I am still waiting. One of these days, dude, it is gonna happen, and I'll be ready. So, let's talk about the disappearances. Okay. Some of this is weird, so bear with me. There is a classic tale of a 5-year-old girl who disappeared into the forest, only to reappear 5 years later, unchanged and with no memory of the years that she had been missing. Now, there are several accounts of her reappearance. I'll go through them. Some say she was still wearing the same clean clothes she had on when she disappeared, and she had not aged at all over those 5 years. Another says she has no memory of the missing 5 years. Yet another says she returned a changed person, and she was much darker and more moody, which sounds like she's already a teenager, right?
Yeah, exactly.
See how I did that? And what's most interesting here, there is not a written documentation of her name, when she disappeared, or when she returned. So this sounds like another X-Files episode to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a great story, perhaps, but without proof. Right. It's just that. This is one of the many tales of people going into the forest and never being seen again. Of course, we talked about Baciu disappearing with his sheep. And the 200 sheep is a lot to go missing, right? That's a herd. So, and again, the forest being only about a mile square, it's easy enough that folks could literally walk shoulder to shoulder and go through the park in an afternoon. So, or through the forest in an afternoon. So I don't know how I believe on that one either. But the key issue to all of the tales is that there is no documentation and any reports at all that are written, either in English or in Romanian media language, or language medias. And to be fair, just because it wasn't documented, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. But given the small area of the forest, it's hard to believe that either the person or the remains should not have been found. Again, a mile. Right. So then there's other weird stuff. Is this. So there was a UFO sighting. And I mentioned a place called the Hoia Rotunda, and this is going to come into play now. So back in the 1960s, there was a biologist named Alexandru Sift who captured a photograph of a mysterious disc-shaped object hovering over the Hoia Rotunda. This is his picture. And you're getting on the left side image, you're getting the ground layer there with the tops of trees. So this is already up in the air. The second picture to the right is a blow up. When I first looked at this, I'll hold my thought, actually. I have some more stuff to tell you. The photo made the news, and as you may expect, it sparked a lot of interest in the forest and drew people in to the area, which is, again, known as the Hoia Rotunda. So
now, for the people who can't see it, this is fairly clear for the time the picture was taken.
Yeah, 1962 or so, yes.
Considering that everything, all the paranormal pictures you get are very blurry, this is fairly clear for what it is.
Yeah. So. And there are 4 pictures in total that they were able to capture. Apparently this happened over the course of about 2 minutes in total. It was Alexandru and his girlfriend at the time out walking the woods. He was looking as he would at the forest, and she was looking up. So she spotted it first. The other 4 are going further away, so it's getting smaller and smaller, unfortunately. They didn't capture anything at the ground level. And my first thought when I saw this, Chad, was that was a droplet of water on the lens, And then as you see see the second image to the right, that the split double, the double image, the close up of the object, and then a bit clearer vision of how far away it is. Clearly it makes it seem like it's got more context than that. But it's really, it's not a traditional UFO in the sense of a flying saucer. It looks more oblong,
Right.
Maybe more oval, I should say. So it's not quite the official disc shape that we're expecting from our Hollywoodization of UFOs, but that's not to say it couldn't be real. So let's talk about where it came from.
Okay.
And that is this place. So in the edge of the forest, not too far off the end of where the forest itself stops, is the place that's called the Poiana Rotunda, or the clearing. And it's notable because it's an area where nothing grows. So, we come across clearings all the time, right? In the woods, there's just a place where there's an open area without trees, without shrubbery. It's just straight grass. Here, it's got a bit more of a sinister appeal to it. So let's cover that. So while there are reports of geomagnetic anomalies that cause compass malfunctions and higher than normal electromagnetic fields that may affect certain people all through the forest, the one key location that stands out is the Poiana Rotunda. It is an ovalish shaped clearing where nothing but grass grows. It is easy to find as the main road in the forest goes right through it. And you can see that in the lower right-hand image that you can even get a track line across the center of or the upper left side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Locals believe that the Poiana Rotunda is a cursed place and all who enter will be affected by negative energy. Scientists believe that the site may have been an ancient burial ground. Makes sense. And to further support this theory, ground-penetrating radar surveys were completed and have found anomalies consistent with burial plots up to 3 meters underground. Simply said, the Poiana Rotunda may actually be a graveyard for an ancient civilization. Go back to the Thracian tribes that were living in this area, perhaps.
Right.
But that same episode of Expedition X actually is where the ground-penetrating radar comes in, and as they are plotting out they are marking where they're hitting hits. As they go across the whole thing, and you get the elevated view from the drone camera they're using, you really can see that it looks just like a cemetery would look for us in our traditional sense. So, but to my knowledge, and since this was only an episode from the spring, I don't believe there's been any work done, the archaeological to the site yet.
So the question there is, which came, and I'm not making light of this, but which came first, the anomaly or the graveyard?
Right. Yeah, and that's a good question. And, so to spin that a little further, another theory for the existence of this clearing is, of course, aliens, right? So the image, going back to the image of the ship, the prevailing theory is that a UFO landed on the spot and the ground has been altered as a result. Another theory then is once these plot points have been discovered by GPR, ground penetrating radar, then, it could have been some kind of an installation. There could still be some kind of an installation underground that the UFO, as I acquired the hiccups all of a sudden, that's great. Like the UFO landing there would have been, the dropping off or picking up. This may explain the girl who disappeared into the wild of life for 5 years and coming back completely unchanged. So, abduction stories are not just our stories here in the U.S. They're all over the world. So
Jim wants to know if it's Romanian crop circles.
It could be. It could be. We did an episode on that a long time ago, Jim, and Chad did a wonderful dive on it. But unfortunately, more times than not, crop circles tend to be man-made. So maybe, but probably not. So the other kind of belief is, and we talked about this with the Bermuda Triangle. We didn't really do a Bermuda Triangle episode, but we talked about it. We did the Alaskan Triangle about the Bermuda Triangle. Is there are believed to be vortexes that opens in these places, and that could be something happening here where a vortex opened and an alien came through intentionally or unintentionally, or the local could have gone through and then finally found a way back again 5 years later. So, and if you understand, you follow the premise of quantum physics, time is different in a different realm. So, going away and coming back, it would have been a blink of an eye there, but years have gone by on our side. So, or it could have gone the reverse. too, where they come back an aged person versus a young adult. So it just really, that depends, and that depends what you want to believe as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. This a wormhole, exactly, a traversable wormhole. So it's interesting that this clearing has garnered so much attention. And it's one of those things where there are clearings everywhere. Every woods has one somewhere. There's something just isn't growing. So let's kind of dive into what could all of this be.
Okay.
So in the 1970s, Dr. Adrian Patrut, a Romanian physicist, began conducting research in the Hoia Baciu Forest. He focused on the area's magnetic anomalies and their potential connection to the paranormal phenomenon reported by locals. Dr. Patrut's studies, though inconclusive, generated considerable interest in the scientific community and helped to establish the forest as a site of ongoing research and investigation. He opened the door for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Other researchers have focused on the forest's unique flora and fauna. Some have speculated that the high concentration of electromagnetic energy in the area may have influenced the growth and development of the forest's plants and wildlife. While the forest is home to a diverse array of species, some plants and animals exhibit unusual characteristics, such as twisted and contorted tree trunks, which have further fueled the forest's supernatural reputation. The lack of traditional forest growth in the Hoia Rotunda can be attributed to several natural explanations, including the potential for bedrock to be closer to the surface, which would not allow trees to grow the same as in other areas of the forest, or that groundwater needed to support tree roots may be deeper here than in other areas. If you recall, when we were doing the Aokigahara episode, the challenge that the trees were facing there was that the ground soil was primarily magma from the eruption of Mount Fuji. And therefore the roots weren't able to grow very deep, and the trees were stunted and challenged because of that lack of access to the water system. It was basically topical water. So there's all kinds of reasons why things don't do what we expect them to, and most can be explained by science. In this case, I think there's two good principles. Unexplained sounds may be attributed to wildlife in the forest, such as foxes, who can make a cry that sounds eerily human. And if you've ever been out in the woods, and you're hearing this scream, that is very likely what it is. The general proximity to civilization could explain some pollution, as many live on the edge of the forest and some even within it. So there is, the clues. The city is just 5 clicks away or so, not very far. It's a cab ride out to the forest, so it's easily traversable to get out there. So people camp in the forest all the time, and again, people living on the edge. Everybody makes noise. So the unexplained lights can be attributed to airplanes and other lights from and around the forest proximity to urban sprawl of Cluj-Napoca. Another explanation for the red lights is the nearby radio tower for TRV Cluj, which, like such towers in the U.S., has blinking red lights, so it can easily be seen by low-flying aircraft. If you're looking at something in the woods, you see a light and then you don't see it. There's a breeze and the trees are swaying, branches get in the way, leaves get in the way. What appears to be there can be gone in a blink, and may not be seen again. So, but again, you're out in the dark and you're in a space that's charged by your imagination already and by folklore. I can certainly see how it seems like it's a paranormal thing. And lastly, a very simple explanation would be folklore tales told to scare folks from drifting into the forest that have been shared so many times that they have become facts. This explains the lack of documentation related to the claims of disappearances. So, if you go, the Hoia Baciu Forest is a popular destination for tourists seeking a brush with the unknown. Guided tours are offered, allowing visitors to explore the forest's eerie beauty and learn about its history and legends. Some tour companies even offer nighttime excursions, providing thrill seekers with the opportunity to experience the forest's chilling atmosphere while after dark. Despite its reputation as a haunted and enigmatic place, the Hoia Baciu Forest is also a site of natural beauty and biodiversity. Efforts have been made to protect the forest and its unique ecosystem, ensuring that future generations can appreciate its haunting allure. The conclusion, and this is directly from the Hoia Baciu website. Quote, "The Hoia Baciu Forest remains an enigma, its secrets hidden within the ancient trees and the shadows of its haunted past. As a place where history, legend, and supernatural intertwine, the forest continues to captivate the imagination and inspire both awe and fear in those who venture within its depths. While the truth behind the forest's many mysteries may never fully be understood, the Hoia Baciu Forest stands as a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the human fascination with the unknown." End quote.
Hmm.
So, my final thoughts, and we'll discuss. Through my research, I kept finding claims of paranormal activity as well as strange sounds and lights, but little to no proof of what was experienced. Add to the mix that witchcraft is still openly practiced in Romania, and with it the belief in curses and mysterious happenings. It is easy to see how people have mystified the forest for such a long time. While I have not been there, I can't help but think the Hoia Baciu has garnered a reputation built on folklore that is aided by a lot of creepy trees and our own active imaginations. But there is simply no evidence to prove anything else. And just like any good ghost story, the tales that come from Hoia Baciu continue to capture our interest and encourage our imaginations to wander. My sources for this article were Atlas Obscura, TripAdvisor, the HoiaBaciuForest.com website. And Chad, I found something interesting that I have to share a piece from. There is a podcast and a website called Skeptoid.
Okay.
They have some commentary. I mentioned that there were several shows that did episodes in the Hoia Baciu, Expedition X, and all of Josh Gates' shows apparently have been there. So Expedition Unknown as well. But our friends at Ghost Adventures have been there too. So this is a critique of the episode with the Ghost Adventures crew. Just bear with me and see if this sounds familiar. This is a quote. "We got a big clue that there is absolutely no unusual physical cause for Pollo Rotunda in the 24 episode of Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures. Two paranormalists drove out to the meadow at night. Why they chose to avoid the convenience of daylight was not clarified, and walked around the meadow with various types of video cameras and a little gadget sold commercially to weekend ghost hunters called a Melmeter that incorporates a thermometer, motion detectors like those in a cell phone, and an inexpensive version of an electrician's EM detector. They did not explain how or why they thought this device might be useful. In any event, they did not show it detecting anything. The only thing that happened in this segment was that one of the hosts had, or pretended to have, some kind of panic attack. They attributed it to energy, but made no effort to either characterize or measure whatever they thought that meant." End quote.
Interesting.
So, that sounds like every episode of Ghost Adventures I have ever seen after season 1. So go figure. They nailed it. And if I'm not mistaken, Skeptoid is a show from the UK, so it has some cheeky British humor in there as well. So we can't talk shit on Zach Bagans, or he's going to come after us. So I don't want him knocking on my door. So love you, Zach. Do your thing. So yeah. I'm just catching up to this comment from Jenny. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was possessed. Yes, of course. He always is. My boss, this is a quick aside. My boss, knows what I do on the side here, and he has an interest. So Gary, if you're listening, this is for you, buddy. He does a great Zach Bagans imitation, and he kind of puffs up his chest a little bit, and he goes, "You wanted us, you got us. Come and get it." Like that kind of thing. And that's like, to me, again, the same thing. It's every episode. So, hey, I've said this so many times. There's room for everybody in the industry, so in the field. So
yeah,
they're doing their thing, and it's just not my cup of tea. So more power.
Amanda's pretty sure he's watching.
Doing something somebody likes. Yep.
So,
sorry, what was that?
I said Amanda's pretty sure he's watching.
No, he is. He's he's the lawyers he's already called his lawyer. All right. Well, anyway, it was nice knowing everybody. Take care. So back to the Hoia Baciu. So let's discuss. What do you think?
Well, I threw up Jenny's comment here. Haunted or not, there's no downside to visiting this magical and gorgeous place. Looking up the Expedition Unknown episode now. And that's
Seven,
sort of
episode 1. Well, that one's older. Sorry, the Expedition Unknown is a couple seasons ago. The Expedition X is season 7, episode 1.
okay. And I think my sentiment's sort of the same thing. I'd like to go visit it just because it looks like a really cool place to visit. Is it paranormal? I'm leaning probably not. Now, you put up the tourist map that the Hoia Baciu, I can't even say it. I tried. They put out
about this for weeks.
I know. And interesting enough, they on their list or on their map, they have recommended gear that you can purchase.
Let's get back to that.
And it's comfortable boots, comfortable and warm clothes, medical kit, photo video camera, compass, EMF meter, tent and other camping gear, poncho, headlamp, torch, binoculars, pepper spray, a Geiger meter.
Yeah,
which is interesting. And the GPS. So they're it sounds to me like they're promoting, the paranormal side of this as well, and getting, investigating and taking the EMF meter and the Geiger. I'm not sure. You didn't talk about anything radioactive, so I'm not sure what the Geiger meter is for.
That one gets me too. But this is the former USSR. So. Of the region. So there could be silos in the vicinity that may, obviously, hopefully inactive at this point, but there could be something there to that. And it's just it's another measuring tool, right? So, it's one that we don't think of using, in our investigations because we shouldn't be around anything that's radioactive. But what if there is some measurable presence or essence that we're missing because we don't utilize that tool? Maybe there's something there to it.
Maybe. So Jim wants to know, how close is it to Vlad's castle?
I don't know. I didn't get that far. I would say it's all within. It depends how many horses you have for your wagon. So how long it'll take to get there. Yeah, and Jenny's hit it right on the head. It is a great list, but snacks were omitted, so they must be available for purchase. That's probably why.
I'm sure.
Yeah, they always have to exit through the gift shop, right? So that's probably where it's at. I doubt there's a 7-Eleven or anything around the corner though, so you probably should be there.
Not.
Probably not. Yeah, it's interesting too. This area is still fairly rustic, even though. Cluj-Napoca is really close by, as a major city. So, it's kind of like us here in South Central PA. We're an hour or so west of Philadelphia, an hour and a half west of Philadelphia, an hour and a half north of Baltimore, 3 hours from New York, but we are in farm country. We can dip into the woods or out in the field somewhere pretty quick. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I lived in Phoenix. It was the same way. I lived on the east side of the city by South Mountain, and I could zip around South Mountain in about 15 minutes and be on the backside and into the desert and be beyond most of the light pollution because of the blocking of South Mountain for it. So there, even though there are major metropolitan places in the world, you can still get away from them pretty quickly into places like this. And again, it's a cab ride. People drive out for the day and go picnicking. So
and go cow tipping.
It's sheep tipping here, sir. No cow tipping. It's a fine tradition of sheep tipping, by the way. You should know.
I think Vlad's castle is actually Bron Castle, and it's about 4 hours away by car. So
all right. So 2 days by horse. Right? I don't know. I'm joking. I have no reference. All right. Well, I'm in the same spirit. As I was going through all of this, I was really challenged by the lack of clear physical documentation of any of the occurrences. I mean, there's things, the issue that happened on the Expedition Unknown episode. It's a static camera. The guy's sitting out in the middle of the rotunda, and he's talking, so he's got audio on him. He is a cameraman, so he's got his own camera on him. But what happens is kind of unexplainable. It's hard to believe it was staged by any means, and I don't want to believe that anybody is staging stuff anywhere. Like that I have to have some trust, and I do trust that this is not that. And if I find out otherwise, I'm going to be very disappointed, and I'll probably never watch that program again. But in that, it doesn't make sense what happened to him. And added to the fact that he claims that he was hearing female voices all around him, adds into some of the stuff. But on the whole, there's very limited captured evidence or documented evidence to prove any of the claims, and that still doesn't mean it didn't happen. And I don't ever want to imply that, but I'm a skeptic, and I will say that every day, and that is my approach toward the paranormal. Is I believe to the extent that I need some proof, and I can accept that things, the general principles and all, but I would like that guy to walk out of the wall and shake my hand and say, I'm so and so, or have something that more measured that we can use. And that's why we go back. That's why I go back anyway to the field all the time, is that I want to be able to try to capture that thing. I'm not there for the scare factor of it. I'm an investigator. I'm not a ghost hunter. So I'd like to put some science to it.
Amanda said that this is very cool, and she would love to talk to the people who went through these experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to talk to, like, the cameraman and, well, maybe not Zach, but people who have had things happen to them here. So
he probably doesn't remember it. It's been so many places.
So, Jamie, nice job. Good topic. Again, another one that I didn't know anything about.
Yep.
So,
well, I didn't know a lot either. So
I've seen
these shows, and that's I've seen these episodes, and it stuck to me a little bit. And when it came around on an Atlas Obscura again for the win, those of you who know what it is, you know what I mean. If not, it's a website. You can subscribe to a daily newsletter. They give you some cool articles from around the world, and sometimes paranormal, sometimes just really cool, interesting things. And I'm grateful to come across it, and I read it every day. So at some point, usually by lunch break, stuff like that. But when I'm not doing research for episodes, I dig into it and get more inspiration for other things.
So Bert says it was Destination Truth season 3, episode 1.
All right. Well, there it is. And it's on the Discovery Channel for cable users. Here we have Comcast. It's part of our package, but I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube as well.
Okay.
Very cool.
Jim says, yes, no doubt a creepy, beautiful place to visit. So
yes.
I'm liking the idea of getting a plane, Jamie, and just going to all these places. Can you work on financing for that? Get a grant or something?
I could apply for everything. It's we gotta have some outcomes. That's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Outputs and outcomes are two different things.
So,
all right, I will apply to the Paranormal Institute and see what we get.
I'm not holding my breath.
Me either.
Oh my! So, all right. Well, should we move on to what's coming up?
Yeah, of course. We got some fun things happening.
Bert says Jott-Nyx Roadshow.
That sounds like a great show, actually. Like the Antiques Roadshow, we could do the same thing with paranormal stuff around the world. Yeah. We have to start small, though, so like around the area, get a following. Yeah, we'll go. I'm in.
It sounds good. So upcoming episodes, next week I've got Laurel Hill Cemetery. Now, it's not going to be, is it a paranormal or not? There's not a lot of activity that I've been able to find on it, which is okay. But it is a very interesting history. There's some very notable people who've been buried there. And I learned some things about cemeteries in that time frame when this was built that I didn't know and understand. So,
okay,
excited to share that with everybody. So that'll be interesting. Then the August 20th, you've got Tulpa.
Yep.
Then I'm going to do Folklore of Ireland, the Puka. And then, haunted Polly's Island. Like you said, hurricane season. Definitely right up the alley right now. So
yeah, like Jimmy Buffett said, ain't no reason for the hurricane season. So don't try to reason with the hurricane season. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but in that,
we have a driver. Just sorry, Chad, to interrupt. But Bert used to drive motor coach, so we got this figured out. We just need to get a 15 passenger van, and we're done. We're on the road. Start playing some Willie Nelson.
So in all seriousness, though, we are having a hurricane hit currently coming up the coast. So our thoughts are with all those people who are dealing with that in Florida and the whole entire East Coast. So
absolutely, we never want to see. We never want to see loss of life or property. So everybody be safe. Do the smart thing. Get away from it if you can. And if you can't, batten down the hatches. We'll see you on the other side.
So coming up in October 19th, we've got the Spooktacular event at Boobies Brewery. BUBES, Boobies Brewery. For those who aren't able to see what we're putting up. We've got Daryl Marston from the Ghost Hunters. We've got Ron Lourdes from the Staticom. And as always, Jott-Nyx will be there hosting. Should be a fun evening. Exciting. Tickets are available on the Boobies website. Check that out. And then our upcoming events this Saturday, Jamie.
Yeah. We
all get to hang out again. So
it's coming quick. I mean, this Saturday at 10 o'clock. So if you're in the area, tickets are still available. Go to boobiesbrewery.com. Again, it's BUBES, not the other one. You will find other things that are, different, not appropriate probably. So but boobiesbrewery.com, all the tickets options are there. If you're coming from out of the area, you can actually stay at the site as well. There's a bed and breakfast on the 3rd floor of the building, and then across the street there's an Airbnb as well with the Malt Baron Mansion. So no reason not to,
So, and as Jenny said, Ron and Lourdes and Daryl equals a spectacular event. So
that's a pretty good equation. I like it, but there's a variable missing. Oh, it's us, Chad. It's us. We're going to be there too.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. So.
Yeah, those guys are really cool, Jenny. I completely agree. We're on the side of that. But
yeah, we don't rank up there with that, Jamie. No. Sorry. Anyway, there we go.
There's an amendment. Okay, I'm sorry. We're both clicking stuff at the same time. Thank you. That was still there, way cooler than we are.
Yeah. So anyway, so we've got the August 10th. We've got September 7th and 28th. October 12th are all regular investigations. Yep. Then October 19th, the special one. Then November 16th and December 7th will round out the year for us at Boobies this year. It's hard to believe we're looking at December already.
I know, that's crazy. And we're looking at the end of the year already too for dates. And we have, Jed, we talk about this a lot, but we have our calendar for episodes up through September, but we have stuff on our calendar for the rest of the year and into next year as well. So, we're always looking ahead. And if there's anybody who has any interest of a topic or something that's near and dear or something that's happened to you that you want to share with us, and we can explore it for you. There's certainly a lot of ways to reach us here, of course, via the chat and so forth, but our usual social media outlets, our Facebook page, leave us a message there. You can email us at paranormallenspodcast@gmail.com, and then just give us a heads up on what's going on, what you'd like to do. Laurel Hill and the Puka were submission requests. So, we've done a few others along the way as well. So, we'll slide our schedule around. That's never a problem. We're still
waiting for our first email from fans, Jamie. We haven't gotten that
to make sure it works.
So, anyway,
check the spam folder just in case.
So, anyway, but as always, Jamie, again, thank you for doing this episode. It was very interesting and I learned a lot. We want to thank all our listeners for joining us. And we're doing this live, so we can't even go back and edit that out.
I know.
So.
We are mumbling, stumbling, and bumbling all the way through this for a year and a half now. So,
so thank you for everybody who joins us live, who listens to us later. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Subscribe, or like us, follow us, all those fun things. We appreciate the feedback. Yep. If you check out the podcast on Spotify, there's actually a couple polls that people have been starting to fill out, Jamie.
I saw that.
It's always
you
fun
can leave a comment by the episode there as well. So, if we feel we hit it on, the head, say so. If you feel like you guys are way off base, or I'd like to know more, anything, give us a comment, give us a review as well. We like 5 stars a lot. I say this every week, but we're not asking for 6, 7, or even 8. 5 we feel is modest. But whatever you feel, give us a review, drop some stars in there. It helps us to understand how we're doing as well. And it's the same if you're watching or listening on Apple or on Audible as well. So we really appreciate the feedback. It helps us to help making for you a better product each and every time. So we're always aiming for entertainment and information. But if we're missing the mark, it's not fun. So there it is. Hey, we're back to this.
Yeah. And as you say, any final thoughts, Jamie, before we get out of here?
No, I think it's bedtime, dude. So it's rolling into the later evening here on the East Coast. So maybe you will get some of that rest you were talking about.
I hope so. But I have a dog who wants to walk.
Yeah, I do too, and it's pouring rain here, so it's going to be a short walk.
Mm-hmm. So
my water dog who doesn't like to get wet. So go figure.
So, everybody, again, thank you so much. And you can find us back here next Tuesday, as long as we're not dealing with rain that's taking the power out. So we made it through tonight. So
I was a little worried earlier when we were rocking. The house was rocking with thunder and lightning. So
but I heard a couple during the show. So all right. Well, we will see everybody next week. Thanks you, and have a good week. Stay spooky.
Good night.